Well, there's always gotta be something, doesn't there? It doesn't seem like it matters what Call of Duty game it is, there's always gotta be that one thing. That downright dumb thing that just overshadows so many other way cooler things because it is just so blatantly dumb. Yesterday we talked about the Modern Warfare nuke and my general thoughts on the game prior to launch, seeing as that is the next time we'll all be playing it. And after the second weekend of the beta, I can confidently say that I really like this game. Sure, it's got its flaws, but most of them are already being looked into and will be fixed for launch. But that confidence is only in relation to the core gameplay itself, the product that we got our hands on these past few weekends, and not the product that MW could end up being once it's released in full, because if the leaks and rumors we're talking about here today are in fact true, we could be in for a very rough year in terms of microtransactions and anti-consumer business models. You thought Black Ops 4 was bad with that kind of stuff. I really don't hope we're looking back at BO4 come this time next year and saying, man, that game actually wasn't that bad. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we are breaking down the extremely controversial exclusivity deal that has now been confirmed for Modern Warfare, and also some of the leaks we've seen surface recently regarding the game's monetization and microtransaction system. Before we jump into all of that though, if you are new here, this is the place to be for all of the latest news, updates, leaks, and all other intel regarding Call of Duty. So if you are into that stuff, feel free to subscribe with your post notifications on, that way you'll always know when I upload a new video. And of course, if you do enjoy this one, let me know by dropping a like rating on it, as it does really help out. And now let's get into MW's biggest drawback at the current moment. So let's just get right into the meat and potatoes, Spec Ops Survival Mode. If you are somehow living under a Dwayne Johnson and you don't already know, earlier this week Infinity Ward released a brand new trailer for the Modern Warfare campaign. And at the very end of said trailer, there was a slight tease for the Spec Ops mode, which is the third mode available in the game alongside campaign and multiplayer. Now this specific teaser was in reference to the survival mode, which is almost a subdivision of Spec Ops in a sense. And in the little fine print on the bottom of the screen, it said timed exclusive content until October 1st of 2020. Meaning the Spec Ops Survival Mode is only available on PlayStation until October 1st of 2020, when it will then finally be opened up to Xbox and PC players as well. So the big deal here is that 1 year exclusivity, and frankly I think that is probably one of the dumbest decisions that Call of Duty has ever made. The COD community was originally relatively vocal about the 1 month exclusivity that Xbox used to have over PlayStation and PC back in the days of like MW3 and BO2 and whatnot. Then the community was even more vocal about the 1 week exclusivity that PS4 has over Xbox and PC. So apparently we just have to disregard all the uproar and complaints of the 1 week and 1 month exclusivity contracts, because now there is a whopping 1 year 365-day exclusivity contract, which is utterly absurd. The real slap in the face here that I think a lot of players are feeling, specifically those on Xbox and PC, is that this year with MW, there was, and I guess still is, a huge emphasis on bringing the community together, and that's why crossplay is such a heavy focus. It unites the COD community and no longer separates the 3 major platforms from one another. But then you have Sony, who must have had some serious sweet talk with Activision because they somehow wound up with this ballistic deal at the end of the day. Now, my theory, and what I see a lot of people saying, is that this all happened because of crossplay. Keep in mind, this is just a theory, there is no validity behind it right now whatsoever, but a lot of people think that in order to achieve crossplay between all 3 platforms, Sony had to have some kind of ridiculous deal like this in their favor in order to agree to allowing Xbox and PC to game alongside PS4 users. Honestly, something of that nature really wouldn't surprise me. Activision gets even more money at the end of the day, and they also get crossplay, so it's a win-win for them, it's a win-win for anyone who plays on PlayStation, and it's a big old middle finger for those guys on Xbox and PC. Pretty much now, if you want to play survival and you are on Xbox or PC, it now costs $300 to actually gain access to the mode. A $300 game mode. Yeah, that's gonna be a yikes from me. Now, here's the thing. I'm gonna be extremely blunt with you guys. I don't give a crap about Spec Ops. I enjoyed my time on it back in MW2, but that was long before I started taking YouTube seriously, and now what matters to me and what piques my interest the most is multiplayer for the most part. And this year the campaign as well, since it looks pretty cool and it ties into the entire game, so yeah, I guess by association I am a little interested in Spec Ops, but truthfully, I'll probably play the missions or modes once and then be done. Whereas the real replayability and the real longevity does lie with multiplayer and potentially Battle Royale if that's a thing. Anyways, I don't really care too much about Spec Ops, or more specifically survival. So this whole deal honestly doesn't really hurt me in any major way, as one, I do play on PlayStation, and two, I'm not really that invested in survival. But as someone who is a fan of the franchise and wants nothing more than to see it have a strong positive community behind it, I also understand that there are plenty of people who don't play on PS4, and there are plenty of people who are invested in survival, and thus that's really where I am disappointed. That said though, in my opinion, Modern Warfare is still Modern Warfare without survival mode on Xbox and PC. It's not some major addition to the game, it is relatively small, and its overall impact on the game, I would say, is far less than regular Spec Ops, multiplayer, and also the campaign. Now, do I think that this is something that people should be canceling their pre-orders because of? No, I think that is a bit extreme, but I do think it still is an extremely stupid decision to withhold Spec Ops for an entire year. But this is a business to Activision and Sony at the end of the day, and when it comes to making money for Activision and pleasing its shareholders, Sony is a massive helping hand in that situation. And thus, I know why something like this was done, but I still don't agree with it in the slightest, and I do think it is absolutely terrible for the community. But just playing devil's advocate, if this is what had to happen for crossplay to work, I honestly would happily take crossplay over survival mode in the long run. That's just my opinion, but yeah, we were so close to having such a strong start to the year, and then this happens and it's kind of just like, well, I'm disappointed, but not surprised. It really does seem like there always is that one thing, but actually it isn't just one thing that now has me even more concerned about the game. We've talked about the gaming revolution a handful of times here in the past, as his credibility when it comes to MW leaks is pretty solid. He's been correct about a lot of stuff up until this point, and with that, he recently got to talking about the MTX system, and even a little bit about this exclusivity deal. Before we get to his tweets though, we gotta look at Taylor Kirasaki's, as he initially said, "We do our best every single day to give our players the best possible experience. There are decisions that are made above all of our pay grades that have to be considered." So with that, before anyone goes out there jumping on that Infinity Ward sucks hype train, this really isn't an Infinity Ward thing, as we'll come to see. This is an Activision thing, which ultimately sucks a lot. In addition to that though, Taylor also said that all maps, modes, content, characters, and weapons will be released at the same time for all platforms, and that survival mode is the only part of the game that is being locked behind exclusivity. However, this is where TGR then comes into play. He quote tweeted someone saying, "Well, at least it's just survival that's exclusive, it could be worse, right?" And he said, "Currently, Battle Royale is set to come as a post-launch edition as a separate game. And apparently, because it classifies as a separate download and as a quote-unquote separate game, it'll be available a month early on PlayStation 4. So loopholes aside, so much for that whole survival mode being the only exclusive piece of content claim, if that is to come to fruition." TGR also goes on to say that apparently in the supply drops, we are going to see hundreds of emotes and calling cards or titles and sprays, and we can only assume we'll also see things like watches, weapon camos, outfits, and to top it all off, apparently there will be DLC weapons there too, which of course ruins the cosmetic only talk and thus introduces the potential for pay to win depending on how exactly supply drops are acquired. Which then brings us to the final tweet from TGR on the matter, which says that they are changing the game a ton apparently right now, and that there originally was supposed to be a fair system with salvage included as a currency, but it has since been removed, presumably because of Activision overruling whatever was originally in play. Now keep in mind, these are leaks. They are not 100% confirmed to be true. They could very easily be false, they could be incorrect, things could end up changing. But if these leaks do pan out to be reality, I'm just going to say it right now. I do not have high hopes for the longevity of Modern Warfare. Microtransactions and the constant monetization of anything and everything in BO4 really drug the game down to the ground, and I sincerely hope that does not happen here in MW, but really only time will tell. For now though, I am going to focus on the things that I am actually excited about with the game, like Ground War and the campaign and whatnot, but let it be known, we cannot have another year like we did with BO4 if this franchise is going to grow in any kind of substantial way. With all of that being said though, that is effectively going to wrap things up for today. If you guys enjoyed the video, let me know by dropping a like rating on it, as it would be much appreciated. And of course, if you are new here and you want to stay up to date with everything going on in the world of Call of Duty, ranging from news to leaks to updates and everything else in between, feel free to subscribe with your post notifications on, that way you'll always know when a new video goes live. As always, be sure to use code IMMORTAL on all G Fuel, Control Freak, and Respawn products. All of those links are listed down in the description below, and once again, thanks so much for tuning in. Until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.